In this video, we're going to take a look at song structures.
DJ Roubo.
Welcome back. In this video, we're going to talk about song structure. I've gotten a few requests to go through this. I think I'll break this out into three components. One will be, we'll talk about the individual components that make up a song. Then in part two, we'll actually go through a couple of songs and do some analysis based on what we learned in part one. And then in part three, we'll actually dig into how to leverage the song structure for mixing purposes. So this will be part one. So the first thing that I would say is that, I would focus as a DJ, I would focus on patterns over structure. So what do I mean by that? I'm going to go through, a verse, chorus, and those kinds of things. But keep in mind that not all music is made up of this, especially if you're doing something like house music, for example. There may not be any vocals. So then how do you determine what's the verse and what's the chorus? You can't. So really, from a DJ perspective, what we're really trying to identify are the pattern changes in the song. When do significant changes occur in the song? And we want to be aware of those so that, we can control our transitions. So ultimately, that's our purpose. So if you get confused by, the difference between a refrain and a chorus, don't get too super hung up on that. Really what you're looking for is the pattern. So the first major component of a song is the verse. And the verse is the part of the story or part of the song that tells a story. How do you identify it? Well, typically there's lots of exposition. Describes what's going on in the song, and it doesn't typically contain words or parts that repeat. When we do the song analysis, we'll go through and I'll show you all these different pieces. And so if it doesn't necessarily make sense on the page per se, you should be able to identify it once we go through some of the examples. But the verse is typically one of the two major components of a song. The second major component is the chorus. It's the part of a song that is repeated typically after a verse. So how do you identify if it's a chorus? Typically it contains the hook. And the hook is essentially that piece of the song or that part of the song that's memorable. Now, like everything that goes with music, this can completely be broken. The hook does not always have to be in the chorus. If you go old school and you think of Burn Rubber on Me, and the first thing that you hear in that song is you hear a car kind of peeling out or burning rubber. That's a hook. Like when you think of that song, that's probably the first thing that you think of. But in most songs, the hook or the main theme or the main idea of the song is going to go into the chorus, and the chorus is typically repeated quite a bit. The chorus also typically, again, but not always, contains the title of the song. So if you know the title of the song and you're trying to figure out where the chorus is, one of the first places to look or listen is listen for the title of the song, and it's typically in the chorus. And then usually a chorus contains words or phrases that repeat. So those are a few things for trying to identify the chorus. Then there's the bridge. This is a quote. provides a new melody, deepens the lyrical meaning, and takes a song in a slightly new direction. Essentially, like, how do you identify if it's a bridge? It's usually pretty obvious. Why? Because there's a significant change in the melody. In some cases, there's a significant change in the key change, and that's really noticeable. The beat changes significantly. Essentially, when you get to the bridge, it sounds different than the rest of the song in some significant way. And then from a theme perspective, sometimes the song changes. So maybe you're listening to a song and the verse and the chorus about, how happy you are or how great the day is. And maybe during the bridge, they think back to some time that maybe they were unhappy, which is sort of a counterpoint to the verse and the chorus. Usually, though, it's significant in terms of the melody key or the beat. Then there's the refrain, and these are lines that are repeated between the verse and the chorus. How do you identify? Well, normally it comes after a verse. It typically contains words or phrases that repeat. However, it does not typically contain the hook or the main identifier of the song. And in one of the examples I have, there's a refrain, and we'll be able to kind of compare that with the chorus. One rule that I've read is that a refrain can be a chorus, but a chorus cannot be a refrain. And so maybe when we go through some examples, we'll talk about that a little bit. And then the last sort of major components of a song are the intro and the outro. How do you identify? Well, it's usually pretty obvious. Why? It's normally either at the very beginning or at the very end of the song. It typically can be instrumental, or it has talking in the front of it, or the beginning of the song or after, as opposed to singing or rapping. And the two songs that I've picked out, have an intro and an outro, so it'll be pretty obvious. So those are the major components. So how do we do this? So it goes back to, it's about patterns. What are the major components? We have the intro / outro. We have a verse, a chorus, and a bridge. What's the most identifiable thing is typically the chorus. So I have, as an example, Billie Jean. So if I say Billie Jean to you, what normally would come into your head? Probably the chorus. Billie Jean is not my lover, right? So that kind of breaks that out. The verse, I'm just going to read it because I can't sing. She was more like a beauty queen from a movie scene. I said I don't mind, but what do you mean I am the one? This sounds terrible. Who will dance on the floor in the round? She said I am the one. Will dance on the floor in the round. That's exposition, especially in comparison to sort of the hook or the simpler, Billie Jean is not my lover, which kind of sets up the rest of the song. Okay, let's move on. You should, though, I mean, now that we've broken this out and you can use this as an example, if you can find a copy, go to YouTube or something and pull up Billie Jean, listen to the words, and see if you can identify the intro, the verses. There's a bridge in here, the chorus. So this is a good example. So I keep talking about patterns. There isn't necessarily one specific way to set up a song. So I have a couple of examples in terms of patterns. We have an intro, for song A, then it's a verse, then a chorus, then two more verses, then a chorus, a bridge, two choruses, and an outro. Compare that with maybe a song B, which has an intro. That's the first pattern. then a verse, then a refrain, then the chorus, a chorus, one more verse, a refrain, two more choruses, and then an outro. And then in song B, it could be completely different. It has an intro, then it goes right into the chorus, another chorus, then the verse, then a chorus, then a verse, another verse, then a bridge, and a chorus and an outro. So as a DJ, all we're really trying to do is identify where all these different patterns are. What's the intro? How long is that? Okay, now I'm in the chorus. Okay, I'm in the main idea. Oh, they're really talking about something or about it, or they're creating a story. It must be in the verse. Oh, now I hear that the main the hook or the main idea could be the theme of the song. Oh, now we're talking about the story again. Wow, there's something significant that happened in terms of the music or the beat, so I must be in the bridge. Now I'm going to finish off with the chorus and then an outro. So again, as a DJ, we're essentially trying to identify all these different parts, and then we can start to mix things up. We can take an intro from one song. We could go, if it starts off with the chorus, maybe we don't want to do that. So maybe we'll start with the verse. Then maybe we'll switch it around. We'll play the chorus twice. Then we'll go to the bridge and soften things up. Then we'll go back into the chorus. Maybe we'll repeat the first line of the verse and create our own little mini refrain. And then, fade that out into an outro and then transition using the intro of the other song. So that's why, patterns are really critical. So we've come to the end here of the, those are the major components of the song structure. I'm going to cut the video off here. And then in the next part of the video, we'll take a look at some actual examples. Cheers.